The movie begins with Lucas, Roy, and Alton hiding in a hotel room. Lucas had placed duct tape over the door and covered the windows to stop sunlight from coming in. Lucas turns on the TV and hears that an Amber Alert has been put out for a missing boy. As soon as Roy hears the news, he quickly packs their bags and asks Lucas to prepare the car so that they can leave. As Lucas leaves the room, Roy goes to Alton, the missing boy in question, and tells him that it is time for them to leave. He secures Alton's headphones and goggles before heading for the car as well. This is when the hotel's receptionist notices them sneaking out. She immediately calls the police and gives them information about their car. In the car, Roy and Lucas overhear chatter on the police radio. Lucas, who was a state trooper, had kept his radio on him so that they could stay ahead of the police. He swerves the car around and takes an abandoned road instead of the highway. On Roy's instructions, he turns off the headlights and puts on night vision goggles so that he could see where they were going. Roy also turns around and asks Alton to turn off the flashlight that he was using to read comics. The scene then cuts to a church, where the head priest listens to the news along with two other men, Levi and Doak. He tells the men that they need to find the child and bring him back to the ranch soon. He leaves the room and enters a hall, where he addresses a large crowd. He begins reading the scriptures and then asks the crowd if they remember the sequence of the numbers. Everyone begins reciting the numbers out loud. Meanwhile, outside, the church gets surrounded by FBI agents and SWAT teams. FBI agents make their way inside the church, interrupting the sermon. He tells the priest that they have a warrant to search the entire ranch and interview everyone who lives on it. The crowd is then directed to a school building where they are told that they will be interviewed individually. Back in the car, Lucas continues driving down the dark road before getting back on the highway again. He takes off his night vision goggles and turns on the headlights when Roy suddenly alerts Lucas that there is a car in the middle of the road. Lucas manages to move their car out of the way, but this is when another truck slams into the car. Shocked, Lucas gets out of the car and goes to check up on the drivers. As he opens the door, he finds a woman knocked out. While he tries to help the woman, another state trooper arrives at the scene. When he gets out of the car, Lucas pretends to be a regular civilian, but the trooper immediately recognizes their car. He takes out his gun and points it at Lucas, who had also pulled out his gun. Noticing the commotion outside, Roy calls out for Lucas and tells him to drop the gun and get back inside the car. Lucas shoots the state trooper before the trooper have a chance calling for help. The two of them then rush back into their car and take off. At the ranch, the interviews begin and the priest is questioned by an FBI agent. Soon, they are joined by an NSA agent, Paul Sevier. Paul asks the priest if he wrote down all the scriptures that he would read out loud during his sermons. He tells the agents that he had written all of the scriptures but Alton had provided him with the information. This confuses the agents and Paul tells the priest that the scriptures contain coordinates and numbers that revealed top-secret government information. The priest confesses that Alton was special and would often speak in several different languages. He seemed to possess knowledge about everyone and everything. He also reveals that Roy was Alton's father and had been living on the ranch with everyone while he watched another man bring up his child. Meanwhile, Alton, Roy, and Lucas reach Eldon's house. Eldon used to live on the ranch as well and was aware of Alton's abilities. He takes them to a room that he had prepared for Alton. Lucas makes sure that the windows are blocked before Roy is tucking Alton into bed. He goes outside and sits down to rest as Eldon starts talking to him. Eldon tells him that he had been researching, and had found the place that the coordinates were pointing to, but he was not sure why that place in particular. Before he can continue further, Roy interrupts Eldon and tells him that he is tired and needs to rest before he can talk about his son. Lucas offers to keep watch while Roy catches on some sleep. The next morning, Roy and Lucas are woken up by the sound of glass shattering. The house begins to shake uncontrollably as the two of them rush towards Alton's room. They find Eldon sitting on Alton's bed, with laser-like beams shooting out of Alton's eyes into Eldon's eyes. Not knowing what to do, Roy quickly grabs a lamp and smashes it on Eldon's head, knocking him out. The shaking of the house had gotten so bad that the walls start to crumble. Roy picks Alton up and shields him from the sunlight. He hands Alton to Lucas, who takes him to the car, while Roy ties Eldon to a chair and shoots him since he knows where they are headed. At the school, Paul interviews several members of the ranch and tries to get a better understanding of what was going on. He finds that Alton possessed special powers that allowed him to show people visions and even had the ability to make them feel good about themselves. One woman informs Paul that Alton's powers got worse in the morning, which is why they would keep him awake during the night and let him sleep in the morning. Another man reveals that March 6th is their judgment day and that they can only make it through the day if Alton is with them. Paul realizes that each person had a different version of their story that was leaving him with even more questions. He decides to shut the interviews down and lets everyone leave. As soon as the ranch members get to their homes, Doak and Levi rush inside a cabin and grab a duffel bag before leaving in their car. At the same time, Lucas, Roy, and Alton continue driving until Alton starts speaking in Spanish. Lucas watches him amused as he repeats every word that the radio host was saying. He then reminds Roy that they need to stop for supplies and fuel. Roy agrees to stop at a gas station since he needed to make a phone call as well. The two of them exit the van and tell Alton to remain hidden until they get back. As soon as they leave, Alton gets out of the car and starts walking aimlessly. A woman notices him and approaches him. She asks him why he is wearing goggles, but he does not answer her. She then starts questioning him about his parents when Roy notices them. He runs towards Alton and assures the woman that he is the father. When the woman leaves, he scolds Alton for getting out of the van. Alton apologizes to him and then points at the sky. Roy looks up and finds asteroids heading towards the gas station. Just as one asteroid crashes onto a parked car, Roy picks Alton up and runs back to the van. Lucas, who had also noticed the asteroid, joins them in the van as well and frantically drives them away. They soon reach Alton's mother, Sarah's house. She hugs her son before taking all of them inside and tucking Alton into bed. As she comes out of his room, Lucas tells her that Alton was getting weaker by the day and that they need to take him to the hospital. Roy disagrees with his friend and tells him that they only have 3 days left to take Alton to the secret location. The next day, Roy decides that it is too risky to stay at Sarah's house for a long period of time. He tells Sarah to get Lucas to hide the van so that they can use her car. She finds Lucas outside working on the van and asks him why he had decided to help their son. Lucas tells her that although he had not grown up at the ranch with Roy, but the two of them had been friends when they were younger. One day, Roy had shown up at his doorstep and begged for his help. Alton had shown him visions to make him believe in his powers. Then, the four of them get into Sarah's car and head towards the location. Later that night, Levi and Doak break into Sarah's house. They find that her car is missing, just when Doak notices a van parked behind the car. He orders Levi to check for Sarah's registration so that they can easily track them. In the morning, the FBI agents and Paul show up at the gas station. An agent tells Paul that a satellite had fallen out of orbit and crashed into the gas station. As they try to look for answers, the group continues driving. Sarah asks Alton about the events at the gas station and he informs her that he had purposefully caused the satellite to crash because the law enforcement had been using it to track them. All of a sudden, Alton's eyes begin flashing with the bright light. As Alton begins to panic, Sarah tries to calm him down so that the bright light will be contained. She is unable to help and the car fills with the light before it disappears. Alton gets out of the car and sits on the grass. Roy and Lucas notice all the grass around them dying. Alton then gets up and tells Roy that Lucas and Sarah need to take the car to a motel and that Roy and Alton will walk through the woods because the agents are getting closer to catching them. Sure enough, Paul had written all the coordinates and numbers given to him by the priest. He finally figures out where the coordinates are leading them and informs everyone else about it. The scene then changes back to Alton and Roy, who had found their way into a cave where they spend the night. Alton tells Roy that he needs to see the sunrise, and when morning comes, Roy takes him into an open field outside of the cave. Alton's powers begin going out of control when a large dome-shaped shield appears around them. Sometime later, they get to the motel and Alton tells Sarah that he can now go out in the sun. Just then, Doak and Levi burst into the room and shoot both Lucas and Roy. They tie Sarah up and take Alton away. Sarah manages to free herself and helps Roy and Lucas. The three of them then rush to follow Doak and Levi but find their abandoned truck on the way. Alton is taken to a government facility where he is kept in an observation room. Several people try to ask him questions but he insists that he will only talk to Paul and that too, without others around. Once everyone leaves, Alton unlocks the room's door and calls Paul inside. His eyes flash the bright light again, and he tells Paul that he does not belong in their world. Paul agrees to help him and calls Roy. He gives Roy the coordinates of a location where he can pick Alton up. When they meet in the morning, Paul hands Alton over to his parents and watches the group leave. Before he leaves as well, he tells the group that the FBI has placed roadblocks everywhere. They thank Paul for his help and drive down the road. They soon reach a roadblock where the police had set up barriers to prevent entry. Roy smashes through the barriers and speeds away. Alton and Sarah get out of the car in the middle of the road and make their way into the woods while Lucas and Roy drive away. Once again, Alton's eyes begin to flash and the ground shakes, and the same dome-shaped shield appears before large futuristic buildings appear in front of them. Sarah notices bright flashes heading towards Alton, who was smiling. He bids goodbye to his mother and then disappears along with the buildings. At this point, from the force of the shield, Lucas and Roy's car crashes and they land upside down. The two of them are arrested and taken into custody where they are asked about Alton's whereabouts. When they don't receive straight answers from the men, they bring in Paul to question them. The movie ends with Sarah changing her appearance and Roy getting imprisoned. He smiles while looking out the window, with a bright light appearing in his eyes as well. If you liked the video, make sure you smash that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications to help the channel out. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.